Everyone knows the Chevrolet Corvette, America's sports car, born in 1953. But here's something almost nobody remembers. 2 years before the Corvette even existed, a major American car company was already selling a sleek two-seat sports car. It raced at Le Mans, the greatest endurance race in the world, and it finished third overall, beaten only by 2 factory Mercedes. It was designed on 3 different continents at once. An American engine, a British chassis, an Italian body. It cost more than a Cadillac, and it may be the most fascinating car you have never heard of. This is the story of the Nash-Healey, the forgotten sports car that beat the Corvette to the punch. The whole story begins, of all places, on a boat. In December 1949, the great ocean liner Queen Elizabeth was crossing the Atlantic. On board were 2 very different men. One was Donald Healey, a British racing driver and sports car builder, passionate but short of money. The other was George Mason, the powerful president of the American giant Nash. And they met, the story goes, not over cars, but over a camera. Mason was a keen photographer, carrying an elaborate 3D camera rig. It caught Healey's eye, and the 2 men fell into conversation. Now, Healey was sailing to America with a specific plan. He wanted to buy powerful V8 engines from Cadillac to put into his British sports cars. But Cadillac turned him down. They had no engines to spare. Healey's plan was dead in the water. And that is when George Mason made him an offer. Mason had an idea. Nash made big, sturdy engines, but Nash had no glamour, no excitement, no sports car. Healey knew how to build sports cars but had no money and no engines. So why not put them together? Nash would supply the engines, the gearboxes, and the running gear. Healey would build the car around them in England, and Nash would sell it through its huge American dealer network. Best of all for the cash-strapped Healey, Nash let him pay for the parts only after the cars had sold. It was a lifeline. A chance meeting on a ship, sparked by a camera, born from a rejection by Cadillac. That is how one of the strangest cars in history came to be. The result was a true international patchwork. The heart was pure American, a big, tough Nash 6-cylinder engine. Nearly 4 liters, with twin carburetors, Nash proudly called it the Dual Jetfire. It wasn't a screamer, but it was strong and full of easy torque. The chassis and the engineering came from Britain, from Donald Healey's workshop in Warwick. And so, in 1951, the Nash-Healey was born. It became the first sports car offered by a major American automaker in the post-war era. Now, let's be precise, because the truth matters. It was not, strictly, the very first American sports car. A tiny firm called Crosley beat it by a couple of years. But the Crosley Hotshot was a tiny, slow-economy runabout, with barely any power at all. A brave little thing, but nobody would mistake it for a serious sports car. The Nash-Healey was different. It had a big, powerful engine, real performance, and the backing of a major manufacturer. It was sold in proper showrooms, through a nationwide dealer network. This was the first time a big American car company had said, out loud, we will build a 2-seat sports car. And they said it in 1951. Chevrolet would not follow with the Corvette until 1953. Ford would not follow with the Thunderbird until 1955. The little-remembered Nash-Healey got there first, 2 full years before the Corvette. But Donald Healey didn't just want to sell a sports car, he wanted to prove it. And there was only one place to do that, Le Mans. 24 hours, flat out, the ultimate test of speed and survival. Even before the road car was on sale, a Nash-engined Healey prototype went racing. At Le Mans in 1950, it finished 4th overall. An astonishing result for a brand new, unproven machine. The next year, 1951, another strong run, 6th overall. And then came the car's greatest day. 1952, Le Mans. The Nash-Healey lined up against the best in the world. Ferraris, Talbots, and the mighty new Mercedes-Benz 300 SLs, the Gullwings, one of the greatest race cars ever built. For 24 hours, the Nash-Healey ran hard, and it ran clean. Cars broke all around it. Of 58 starters, only 17 would finish. And when the flag finally fell, the Nash-Healey was 3rd overall. 3rd in the world at Le Mans. Beaten only by 2 factory Mercedes Gullwings and ahead of everything else. Think about what that means. A car built partly from a big American saloon's engine had just outrun almost the entire field at the greatest race on Earth. This forgotten car, 2 years before the Corvette turned a wheel, stood on the Le Mans podium. And Le Mans was not the only battlefield. The Nash-Healey also took on the Mille Miglia, the brutal 1,000-mile race across the open roads of Italy. In 1952, it finished 7th overall there, the best-placed British car in the entire event. There was clever engineering behind these results too. The Nash-Healey used an overdrive gearbox, giving it a tall, relaxed extra gear for the long straights. It is often said to have been the first car ever to race at Le Mans with overdrive fitted. For its racing engine, Nash even created a special version and gave it a fitting name. The Le Mans Dual Jetfire, over 4 liters now and around 140 horsepower. The name of the race stamped right onto the engine that had conquered it. Riding that racing glory, the Nash-Healey got a makeover. For 1952, the styling was handed to one of the greatest names in the world, Pininfarina, the Italian design house behind so many beautiful Ferraris. This was a serious upgrade. Pininfarina was, and still is, one of the most respected names in car design. The same hands that shaped legendary Ferraris now shaped this American-engined machine. The new body was lower, cleaner, and unmistakably Italian. A gentle, elegant shape with just a hint of aggression. It turned the Nash-Healey from a rugged British-built roadster into a genuine piece of rolling art. There was even a closed coupe version, fittingly named the Le Mans after the race that made the car's name. And here, the car's story became almost absurd. Because now, building one Nash-Healey meant a journey across the world. The engines were built in Wisconsin, in America. They were shipped across the Atlantic to England to be married to Healey's chassis. Then the rolling chassis were shipped onward to Italy. There, Pininfarina built the elegant steel body and assembled the finished car. And then the completed Nash-Healey was shipped all the way back across the Atlantic to be sold in America. 1 car, 3 countries, an ocean crossed twice. It was beautiful, it was exotic, and it was a financial nightmare. Picture the journey of a single car. Born as an engine in the American Midwest, shipped across the Atlantic to England. Fitted to a chassis in a small English workshop, shipped again over the Alps to Italy. Dressed in hand-formed steel by Italian craftsmen, then sent back across the ocean to a showroom in America. No sane accountant would ever design a car this way. Because all that globetrotting had a price. Every Nash-Healey was, in effect, hand-built across 3 nations. And that made it staggeringly expensive. By 1953, a Nash-Healey cost around $5,900. That was more than most Cadillacs of the day, and it was nearly double the price of the brand new Chevrolet Corvette. The Corvette was cheap, mass-produced, and all-American. The Nash-Healey was costly, complicated, and built half a world away. For the money, buyers could have a Cadillac and change to spare. Very few chose the strange, expensive sports car instead. And the numbers tell the story. In its very best year, the Nash-Healey sold barely more than 150 cars. In its worst, fewer than 100. Compare that to the Corvette or the Thunderbirds that followed, which sold in the tens of thousands. The Nash-Healey wasn't competing in the same world. It was a hand-built curiosity, sold in tiny numbers to a tiny handful of people. In total, only around 506 Nash-Healeys were ever built. To put that in perspective, some single days at a Detroit factory produced more cars than that. Time was running out. In 1954, Nash merged with Hudson to form a new company, American Motors. The new firm was fighting to survive against the giants of Detroit. It had no money for a slow-selling, hand-built halo car that lost money on every sale, and cheaper, faster rivals were coming, the Corvette, and Ford's new Thunderbird. So in August 1954, quietly, the Nash-Healey ended. And there is one last, poignant detail. George Mason, the man who dreamed it up on that ocean liner, he passed away that very same year, 1954. The man and his car left the stage together. So why does any of this matter? Because the Nash-Healey's real legacy is bigger than its tiny sales. That deal on the ocean liner had rescued Donald Healey. It cleared his debts and kept his company alive. And a healthy Healey went on to build the car he is truly remembered for. The Aston Healey, a sports car that sold in huge numbers and became a legend. Without the Nash-Healey, there may never have been an Aston Healey. And there was something else. The Nash-Healey proved a formula, American power, European craftsmanship in one car. It was an idea that others would chase for decades. It echoed in cars like the Facel Vega, and most famously, the mighty AC Cobra. American muscle wrapped in European art. The Nash-Healey did it first. And there's a quiet lesson in all of this. The Nash-Healey failed as a product. It lost money, it sold almost nothing. By every measure a company cares about, it was a mistake. And yet, without it, the world would be poorer. No Aston Healey. A weaker path to the Cobra, a forgotten chapter of Le Mans. Sometimes the cars that matter most are not the ones that sell the most. They are the ones brave enough to be strange. So the next time someone tells you the Corvette was America's first post-war sports car, you'll know better. 2 years earlier, there was another one. Born from a chance meeting on a ship. Powered by America, built by Britain, dressed by Italy. A car that stood on the podium at Le Mans, beaten only by Mercedes. A car that cost more than a Cadillac and sold barely 500. Forgotten by almost everyone, but not by us. The Nash-Healey. The sports car that beat the Corvette and time forgot.